Hello, and thank you for joining us to this series of shows with the Rav Laitman, A New Life. Hello, Rav Laitman. Hello, everyone. Hello, Nitza Mazoz. Hello. So we're talking about the new world of work, and we're inviting you to join us. We've touched upon all kinds of aspects, and today we'd like to talk about one of the most important things perhaps in the organization and in general in every society. We always have people who lead these groups of people. So today we'd like to talk about the manager in an organization, to learn from the Rav Laitman all kinds of tips about how to manage an organization in accordance to the integral educational view. And for each of us to take from these tips for their own lives, also for the organizations in which we work, and to understand how we can lead our own lives better in accordance to the integral view. So Nitza, why don't you open the conversation and lead it forward? So today a lot of energy is invested in turning managers into leaders. We understand that being a manager isn't enough. And to be a leader means to be able to shape the values of the environment that one is managing, to influence the workers, their way of thinking, the way they operate, the way they work, the way they think. A leader has a lot of influence, and once one acquires this ability to invest his workers in the organization, to motivate them for the job, there's an expression that says that leaders are ones that can cause normal or average people to do exceptional work. So today we'd like to discern the image of the manager and the image of the leader in accordance to the integral approach. How is it different? How is it special? What does integral mean? Integral means that one is facing an integral society, or that one is going to build an integral society. And in order to do that, he needs to, first of all, he needs to know what that means. So this manager himself needs to go through the course and to absorb it properly, to go through it in experience, and to understand what it means to be part of an integral society, which turns you into an integral part of it as well, one that includes everybody else inside you. And this is not simple. Also, you need to be integrated with each and every worker and helping him, feeling him, participating with him, and also to cause each and every worker to want to be attached and tied to the leader. And so the leader mustn't only have the qualities of a leader, but also the qualities of an educator, one who can build society. He needs to see the people who are under him as ones who fit for this task, who are fit for it, and he has great work to do in building this new society. So that these same work relations that went before need to be completely upgraded into a new level, so that each one will feel that he's in this, or part of this integral mechanism. Because the leader is dependent on everybody else, and everybody is dependent on him in the salary and outcome of the work, but also in the atmosphere, which influences the health and mood of the workers and what happens at home with their families and everything. The integral society pulls one into it, with each person's entire world, which also participates in it, with the families and the kids and their schools. Everything begins to belong to this new mechanism. Aside from that, the leader himself, if we go back to him, he has to understand that he's now an educator and to have a new approach towards his workers, to everyone, to the administrators, to the workers. He has to treat all of them equally. Because if he is the leader, underneath him, everyone is equal in terms of the integral society he's now building. So even the smallest cleaner man or the smallest rank, the administrators from the highest to the lowest, even the guard at the door, from the guard to the ones who are closest to him in his job, they are all equal. They have to receive an equal attitude from him, an equal amount of his attention. So on one part it's easy, on the other hand it's not so easy, because it's the leader himself that needs to project this equal attitude towards everyone, and the rest of it depends on them, because it's out of the nature of things. It is the people, the workers, who seek this affinity more or less. Some need more closeness and some less. Some need more security, attention. This is a real obstacle in the workers between people, between human beings, not just between the manager and his workers. Aside from that, he needs to cause the connection between all the workers. This connection is caused by the special events or jobs that they participate with together. It could be picnics or weekends. It can be conversations, talks, some games during the job, a radio for everyone at the office, like a general radio, or at the factory, celebrating a birthday for each and every one. Giving the same attention to each and every one, giving examples and valuing examples of connection between everyone, and workshops, that's clear. And the leader needs to show everyone that he knows them. Does the leader need to stick out? Does he need to be dominant? The leader becomes dominant because he's valued and is given credit for the security and dependency that exists between them, because the manager or the leader becomes a social leader. I didn't understand. The question was, should the leader be dominant? Yes, but he doesn't need to stick out through his strength or power, but by influencing them, working with them. Out of that, they begin to treat him in this way, to value him, to see him as great, to see him as a spiritual leader or social, let's say. And then, by that, he becomes the manager. Because if until now he was the manager of the job and he knew the job because that was his role, then he simply organized them and give them orders. And now we're talking about the integral society. So these are already not commands. It is a general understanding an integration with a general desire from above and below. All those who are in the social structure, they all feel themselves to be equal. They feel themselves as one family. And interconnection and interdependence, because this atmosphere contributes a lot to positive and good work, and also to the internal state. Less sick days, all kinds of problems. If a manager manages from above, then the educator educates from below. He's given credit. The role of the educator it comes from the value that he receives, from the appreciation that he receives from his public. So then a manager is something, it's a job you can be given, but to be a leader, you need to receive this attitude from your environment. Yes. So are there any special qualities that one needs to attain in order to become a leader? There's an approach that says that the main attribute of a leader is charisma. Yeah, but that's something that comes from above, and today I don't think that this works so well. It used to be that people would think highly of such a manager, would be so boastful and show himself to be like some puffed up puppet. But today, a manager or leader needs to give the feeling of security, that he will keep his workers safe, that he will fight for each and every one of them in the face of the upper authorities, and that they're all under his wing. He has to show this protection, the unity and connection, the security. And then to look after them and all the different things in life. So what does the leader need to see as the most important thing in his role? He needs to see society as round, as integral. I'll ask once again. And this is in opposition to the society that operates from the top down, the hierarchical society. Right, there's a round society and there's a hierarchical society. Right, the hierarchical society worked from the top down through commands that came from the top levels to the bottom ones. And the integral round society, a leader needs to show himself as a father for each and every one. So what are the most important things for this leader? Both of these forms of relations, but people need to understand that no less than him giving commands for the job for them, he has concern for each and every one to be well off, and he has the same warm and caring attitude towards each and every one. These are the two things that he needs to maintain. As we call it the circles and the lines. So, according to the integral approach inside a certain organization, if a leader develops this integral approach, then he will have two systems of relationships that live together within him. One of them is the regular hierarchical approach of giving commands, and there is a new layer that is added, which is round. And both of them exist. Yes, both of them. Where is the point where these two systems touch? Maybe that's what you want to ask, because they are opposed to each other. Of course, all the hierarchy remains. The managerial hierarchy remains. According to the integral society, it doesn't contradict it. No, we can't continue without having those who are big and small, wiser and slightly maybe less wise, and the managers and the workers. So there's nothing new here. No, but what is new here? Here, what we have is the social aspect, that it's where everyone belongs to the same mother. Different kids, different sizes, different ages, but they all belong to the same mother. What is the place of meeting between these two systems? We understand that they both work in our favor. The workers at the office or factory, we all understand that it's for our own good to keep these two systems so that we'll have a good, warm, round, integral society on the one hand, and on the other hand, we will have normal managing and organization from the top down, so there will be no confusion and everybody knows what they need to do. This has to be. And then everybody will work. Will happily, out of this integral round society, they will happily join the hierarchy and take the job that is right for them. So you're saying that people will operate better inside this hierarchical structure if they have the round, integral society where they all feel as children of one mother. Yes, this is actually what the managers and the whole managing team of the company, that is what why they should be interested in adding the integral aspect, because this adds to the productivity of the organization, to the good participation of people in the hierarchy. What is the connection between me feeling socially equal? Let's say all three of us work in the same organization on different hierarchical levels, and now you're saying let's add to our organization the social level where everyone's equal in accordance to the integral approach. So let's say we did that, and really we have this social relationship where we feel that we're equal. It doesn't matter that you are a great manager and I'm just a doorman. If we add this layer, we add the relationship between us to the hierarchy. How will this influence my functioning in my place in the hierarchy? Well, you will happily function and do your job, and will be willing to help others to do their job as well. Because all in all, we're all workers. We're all enjoying the fruits of our labor, and we all want the connection. Now we don't have the room for the same conflicts that we had before. We still need to talk about the salaries and how we can make sure there's a compensation of these things. But finally, the atmosphere, it becomes a great addition to the salary. The atmosphere becomes a great fulfillment, a very important bonus for the workers, even not less important than the money that they receive, because one lives off of the fulfillment and satisfaction that he receives. And if he feels satisfied at his job through these good relationships, then it turns out that he enjoys himself. It doesn't really matter if it's because he got a few more percentages in his salary or because the relationships at work became better and then he's happy about that. Also today there are such measurements that measure satisfaction at work according to the mood, atmosphere, happiness of the workers. So we've reached such a state where we can understand that the social contact and connection between the workers is a great bonus and addition to what goes in the bank. How will that influence my functioning in the hierarchy, my functionality? Well, I'll be motivated. I'll be interested in the good relationships. Yes, but how will these relationships, how will this new layer, the round layer, make you function better in the managerial hierarchy that, as you said, will remain the same? What kind of relationships do we usually have at work? Bad ones. No, not bad ones. They are hierarchical. And you said that would not change. Yes, but if I am educated towards a good relationship with others, disregarding the hierarchy, this will influence the hierarchy. So that's why I'm asking you, why is that? Because that's where I have conflicts, because of the hierarchy. Right, it seems like these are two parallel worlds. No, so the connection between them is that we are all interested in the good relationships. And this good connection will also enter our work relationships in the hierarchy and soften them. But we're not equal in the hierarchy. Well, I'm sorry. I said it's like different children in the family. You have the mother, the father, the kids, the grandpa, the grandma, all the relatives. Each one has the place of his own. Each one has a role of his own, their own relationships with others, but it doesn't interfere. On the contrary. The fact that everyone's related, it doesn't ruin the order where each one has their place. One is the grandfather, one's the father, I'm the smallest, I'm the youngest child. Each one has his own place in the hierarchy. Each one has his own place, and each one has his own approach, attitude, or the way others relate to him. And because we're one family, and we compensate for each other, we make each other whole, we complete each other.
צריך להתייחס באמת לעובד. אמרת שהוא כמו באמת אבא. האם הוא צריך...
You said the leader should be like a father. Does he need to develop any such qualities of leadership in his workers? Only through workshops and the integral education. Well, that's how you do it practically, but I'm asking because there's such an approach that says that each worker needs to be a kind of leader in his own. Is that a correct approach? What does that mean, that each worker will be a leader? We want him to be more creative, to be more to initiate more, to maybe save more. So sure, that will happen through the integral education. Naturally, he will add more to his work.
עכשיו יש איזושהי גישה שהייתי רוצה שככה או שתאשר אותה או שתשלול אותה או ש...
There is an approach that I'd like for you to relate to, something that exists already, and it goes like this. In order to be a leader, you need to have 4 components. The first one is personal attention. You need to give the right attention, the equal attention, like you said, to your workers, an empathic, supportive attention to each and every one of your workers. The second component is to give intellectual challenge to your workers And the leader himself needs to have creative ways of solving problems that he and the organization faces. He needs to motivate. That's the third component, is to be able to motivate the workers, to give them inspiration, to give them a feeling of trust and empathy, to create such a process where he gets people to want to move, to do. And the fourth component is being a model, to be a personal example and source of pride, to look at your leader and think that I want to be like him. It's all written very nicely, but does it work? Psychologically, it's nice. But in actuality, what tools? In actuality, none of this will work, at least throughout the years, because once ego grows all the time, all the workers' egos will grow, and they'll just see this leader as an inflated puppet that wants to use them and exploit them, that is manipulating them with a nice smile on his face and nothing else, like some commercial that you see anywhere. And therefore they will disrespect him even more and will be against him even more and put sticks in the wheels. However, only if we bring them to the feeling of the integral society, for which the leader does not have to only behave in accordance to these four components, but he needs to reach a state where the managers have to go through a great inner change. The greater the person is in the hierarchy, the greater he needs to be in the circles, in the integrality, in the integral connection, because his influence is greater. It's no wonder. If he goes through such a process of change, of integral awareness, and will be higher up in the hierarchy and also of a stronger perception of this circle structure, does he live up to these four components? He would live these components out without knowing them, but naturally, out of him feeling that this is the way he needs to relate to people. Why does he need all these parameters to make a V next to them, that he's done them? What about the emotion and the attention? This doesn't come from the mind. It comes from inside. It's just like somebody automatically sends some greeting card for your birthday, and everybody receives the same one. That doesn't count. So you're saying the leader doesn't need knowledge. He will feel out of this new emotion that builds up within him, the new feeling. He will understand and feel how he needs to relate to his workers. That's right. I remember when I was in the army, and even in the reserve duty, there was this one kibbutznik with me. He was a good guy. I had this relationship, I had a connection to him. And he said that he was, in a week, he will receive a gift from the kibbutz. And truly, he received such a gift, and he knew in advance what will be inside, because it was so automatic. I already felt that there was something rotten about it. Right, it doesn't give you any excitement. No, it becomes an automatic procedure. Okay, so you're saying it won't help that I will give the leader any knowledge. Listen, you got to treat your workers personally. You got to inspire them. You got to give them example. He'll feel all these things from inside when he goes through the integral education. If he doesn't create this integral relationship with them, all of his speciality and knowledge, even the professional kind, they will not accept it and they will not appreciate it. They will see him as one who exploits them. But if he develops this integral approach and see himself as an equal with them, or as a father that cares for them, then then they will accept him that way. Because on the one hand, he's my father. On the other hand, he cares for me and is equal with me. These are the kind of relationships we have in the family, naturally. This is why it exists this way in animals and with everyone.
אני הגדול, אבל אני דואג לכל הקטנים. האהבה שלי מקשרת אותם לעיגול, וזה שאני...
Where the lines and circles are together.
מחייב אותי דווקא לדאוג להם.
And just because I'm higher up than them doesn't mean I'm not equal with them. On the contrary, it means that I need to care for them even more. Being a manager is responsibility. It's a role. Let's put it this way. The true manager, the one who is willing to work and receive the same salary as his workers, and to manage them because he knows and cares more than anyone else for them. That is a true manager. Like in the family. Do the mom and dad receive more than the kids? No, the kids receive more. Integrally, this is the way it needs to be. You can always take example from the family. And we're heading there. Whether we want to or not, society will go in this direction. Otherwise, we won't be able to manage it. Why? Because we're gradually transferring from the linear form to the integral form. And how will that come into express itself in the hierarchy in the organization? Well, the organization will feel that the workers have no motivation for the job. They will disrespect everything. You will have to have twice as many workers in order to do a job that actually a few people could do. That's true. We already see it today that organizational consultants are asked to do processes in the organization that would motivate the workers, because there's no motivation for people to do anything. If we go back to the manager for a minute, if they'll have a good manager and according to the integral approach, will they have motivation? No, they themselves will feel motivation between themselves. What will give them this motivation? Okay, a moment before that. Today, you gave a very interesting example. You said that organizations today do not have motivated workers. And you said that this will get worse and worse until you'll feel that your organization is paralyzed because you can't move your workers. It's stuck. And this will get worse and worse. And then you're telling me, listen, the only way out is if they feel that the manager is just like a caring father. And also the relationships with him are this way, that they are under his umbrella in everything. This will motivate them? Of course, because first of all, they'll feel that they're in a good place of work. It's warm, it's family. Also, my own private family belongs to it. My kids are tied to it. They organize all kinds of after-school activities. But most importantly, they need to feel that they belong to this one thing, to this one society. But it happens through education. You can't turn them into friendly workers. This happens through education, through workshops, through explaining and advancing towards it. It's work that you have to do to help people enter this one sphere, this round environment. We have to organize around them such an environment. Let's say you take all the workers of the factory, and we need to put them all into such an atmosphere that will constantly give them more and more advanced values and forms of connection that are advanced. This is called, and we talked about this, just like a person depends on society, then the society depends on a higher society or a greater society, and we'll need to organize that. How do we organize it? Through workshops, through the workshop is the greater environment that activates or operates on my workers. And in this way, I have them go through this entire process. And then I give them new values. If you worked under a certain manager, and suddenly the organization went through a process of learning of this integral approach and advanced emotionally. And now, as a worker, you suddenly begin to feel that your manager is beginning to care for you just like a father. Does that motivate you to work better? Otherwise, I'll lose my job. I'll lose the approach towards me. The workers will look at me as one who doesn't belong. At home, I have 4 kids. I treat them as a father. I see them as a father. I don't always see that it motivates them. I don't always see that I succeed with my love to motivate them to work, to move, to do stuff. Sometimes I see that it gives them a feeling of maybe even laziness. We have a dad. He should do what he wants us to do. Let him do it. So I want to understand, why does such a warm, father-like attitude from a manager makes a worker work better? You're taking only half of the process. Where are the workshops that you do with your kids? Where is the work that you do with them? Treating them like a father is something that they feel that you owe them. You gave birth to them, so you need to care for them. So you're saying that at home it's not appreciated. And in the organization it will be appreciated because it's supernatural. It won't be artificial, it will be from your heart. Because suddenly, in all kinds of places, they will see that you care for them. That if something happens to someone, then you care, just like in a family. And also you educate them in workshops. And you educate them not only in workshops and picnics and all kinds of activities with kids. You show them an example of your care. You have to work with the workers. You don't just show them your attitude. You gotta have them go through a process. That's clear. Let's talk about the qualities of the leader that we talked about before. But every person, no matter his personal attributes, if he develops this integral awareness and begins to treat others in a warm, equal way, will he be able to be a manager? According to this approach, a manager that treats his workers as a father? If he can do it professionally and knows how to organize a society integrally, he needs 2 things: to work correctly in the hierarchy and work correctly in the circle. So he can be a manager according to the height that he reaches in his profession and also in his organizational ability. Okay, let's take 2 people who are hierarchically the same. One is charismatic and the other isn't charismatic. Will that influence his ability to manage or not? Will they both be able to advance the organization or the workers the same? No, of course it's important. But the question is, what do you mean by charismatic? Where is the charisma? wanting to stick out, wanting to manage others, wanting to prove himself? Or is he correctly balanced in mind and heart and emotion and mind between the hierarchy and the circles, and therefore he knows how to create a society? You know what happens when you have a circle and a line? You get a sphere. You get a ball. An orb. If someone has this inner mind and heart that allows him to build an orb or ball out of his work relationships, in personal life and in his work relationships, this is a manager. That is your manager. That's charisma according to your definition? Yes. This is what he needs to have an impulse for. That's the kind of people that we need. So this is the charisma and the integral approach. This is something that will pull people, draw them, motivate them, bring them to a better place, more positive place. Of course, because he'll know how to manage everything. Such a person will know the balance between how much to treat people in accordance to the circles and how to treat them in accordance to the hierarchy, to the straight line. He will see himself as a strong, powerful leader when people need that. Together with that, he will be warm and a friend with everyone. He'll know how to combine these things. How does he measure these things? This is a sensitivity that he acquires. It's a kind of participation or even love, without which you can't do it. If a person does not change and improve himself, if he doesn't truly integrate himself with his public, at least his public, he won't know how to manage them correctly. He has to undergo change, internal change. And then he'll feel when he needs to be as a line and when he needs to be as a circle. Yeah, in a simple way, just like a mother feels what her child needs. What do you mean, what she can compensate or help him with? She needs to see how she can help her child. Now I need to give him this or that. To be in constant care. On the one hand, she pressures him, she pushes him to do all the things that he needs to do at home. On the other hand, she cares for him. Have you eaten? What are you doing? How does she know? Ask her. Will the manager know? If he's like this mother, he will. What do you mean like the mother? He needs to acquire such a feeling towards the worker? Yes, otherwise, what will he do? This is called the right kind of charisma. The mom has a charisma because she's constantly caring for her children. And you want the managers to have the same thing, to treat them in terms of their homework and health and everything else comes out of love. This is what they need to feel. But not like your kids. They also receive workshops and education. It needs to be mutual. I think, at least for me, you organize things very well now. I understood that the organization operates hierarchically, and this represents the mind, the logical side, no feelings. It's very, very straight and logical. And now you're saying that the circle aspect brings the feeling, the heart, the emotion. And today, in an organization that operates only according to the mind cannot continue if it does not combine the other half with the emotion and balances these two parts, knowing when to work from the mind and when to work from the heart. This is this special ability that an organization or leader needs to have. Just like Oren, he needs to know. This is why not each and every one can be a leader. And then only who? Only those who have this inner sensitivity, as I said. What is this sensitivity? Sensitivity means that he can combine mind and heart in such a way that wherever he feels he needs to add the mind, he adds it. Wherever he feels sees that he needs to add the emotion. He calculates that he needs to add emotion. He adds it. According to what? According to the integration within him between heart and mind, between circles and lines, and in accordance to how much he absorbs from the environment within which he lives, the manager himself. He's not God. He's not some upper force. He also needs an environment that will constantly hold him up, educate him, improve him. How will this be expressed in the life of the organization? Everyone needs to go through these workshops and education, and the worker and the manager himself, as just like everybody else. Everybody needs to be in this integral education. So if he as an individual participates in these workshops, this will be the environment that will develop this sensitivity in him. Yeah, you will have to break himself open even more than any of the workers. Because if we're talking about the integral education, then everybody's equal. Everybody's in the same hall, let's say, conference hall. Where everybody goes through the same workshop and everybody participates, including the manager, and he has to make himself equal to all the people who come to these circles. And let's say I'm the one who organizes these circles, that I come there and from the outside, and then he's not even a function. He's not a manager in my eyes. He will be a manager if he participates in these circles equally, just like everyone else. Then he will be the manager. You understand what a serious job there is here? Otherwise, business will not proceed and advance. First of all, they will degrade as it is. The blossoming, the flourishing can only happen through the mutual participation of everyone. It's possible that for now, just like you see in the army, you have people who are in charge of the profession and those who are in charge of the spirit and atmosphere. So there could be two managers. Just like in Russia, you had the commissionaries that would inflate you with the attitude towards the country and the homeland. And you had professionals who didn't care about that. They needed for you to know how to shoot well and how to do your job properly, technically, etc., etc. But actually, if we talk about the integral society, this has to exist together in each and every one, because this will also influence his commands. Because in his profession, he'll also see the new steps he needs to take in regard to the system. You'll see that the system needs to be a little different. You also need to make the demands special and the commands special in accordance to the circles. The hierarchy or the straight lines are influenced by the circles, and the circles are influenced by the hierarchy until they all come together into a circle, into this round orb. What's in this orb? The orb or ball is the whole form. There is no up or down. There is no right or left, back or front.
שבכל מקום מי שנמצא בתוך הכדור
But in each and every place, whoever is inside this ball is important just like everyone else. So much so that the individual and the general are the same, equal. I cannot take out of this mechanism of the office any individual or factory, because then everything will fall apart like a card tower, a tower of cards. We're so interdependent and completing each other that we can't take anyone out, but that's the ideal form. So I have a question about that, because when a leader gradually begins to receive this circular form, and let's say he's now demanded to recruit new workers or even to fire workers, what kind of characteristics will he seek in these people he wants to recruit? Will he look for this new approach in them? I think you can recruit new workers only if they go through our special course. And we see that it depends on how much they are able to be integrated in this new society. I'm not just looking for a professional, for an economist or engineer, and see that he studied in Harvard and that's enough. I have to accept him if he's suited for the environment. Otherwise, he'll come in there, and it's not that he won't work well, but he will have a bad influence on my entire system. I need to prepare them so that they'll have a soft landing, a smooth entrance into the integral society, into this body of workers. I have to put them through workshops. Let's say I have 30 or 40, I don't know how many people who are outside the factory and waiting for me to give them a place of work. So I tell them, you all have to go through this, say 2 weeks, let's make it as short as possible, but still we have to put them through a course in order to start working. How will you know who you choose for this course? Let's say in order to man the job, you have one job and you've got 10 different people who want the job. Who will you choose? First of all, I'll choose them according to the profession. After the profession, okay, so you are not like yesterday. Now the question is, also, the higher the job, the more candidates you'll have, and the more energy you will have to invest in choosing the person. So now, let's say I have a number of candidates who've gone through the process, and they're saying, listen, we're soon going to finish this process, and I've got 10 candidates and one job. What kind of characteristics do I need to look at in order to choose so they'll fit my organization, an organization that's already begun the integral process? So now you said that they all need to go through this process of preparation, but maybe I won't take all of them because I have only one job. No, they'll all go through the integral process.
כמו תנאי קבלה.
אני לא מבין אותך. כל 10 נכנסים עכשיו.
I don't understand you. All 10 of them will go into this preparation process. And then I see how much they're able to annul themselves, to agree with others, to receive somebody else's opinion, to participate. I test them not at their profession now, not in a linear, hierarchical way. I am now testing the people there in accordance to their abilities to connect integrally to others. And in accordance to that, I hear what are they asking, how they talk between themselves, how much they're able to communicate with each other, in the right connection with each other, how much one can annul himself, to prove himself also wherever he's right, how much he can participate emotionally with the others when they talk, and not just gracefully or externally. I give them such questions also about crises, special things that happen in the family and at the job, all kinds of things that don't belong to the profession itself, sometimes to the profession as well, in order to confuse them a bit. And then I let them cook with that. And I give them all kinds of events that could happen at the job itself, at the organization. How do you solve it? But I organize it in such a way because this person doesn't know what the integral society is. But I give them talks as well, and I see how much they absorbed it, how much they're prepared for it. Is the person soft enough, sensitive enough? Is it enough for him to be this way, or is he only operating through cunningness alone? This is also necessary. All the human qualities and traits are necessary, but a person needs to know how. He needs to know that when he's coming to such a workplace where he needs to be integrated with everyone else. Let's say you're a father of all these 50 people that are now going to work with you. Let's say there are 50 people at the office. Now, as a father, how do you treat them? What do you recommend for them, and so on? You would ask them this. You're asking how I check. This is how I check them, more or less. I can tell them after these 5 meetings, this preparation, that we need 5 more meetings. If you've not reached a decision, or you see they're not prepared yet, or right, yes. And we do this not while they're working somewhere else, but during their free time. They come in the evening, they study a little bit with us, and go through the workshop. And this could be for a number of months, but they know that they will be accepted if they do this. At the end of this process, let's say you've put 10 people into this process, but you have just 1 open job. You feel that 3 of them are good. Now, with a hand on your heart, you're responsible for this process. How do you choose this 1 person out of the 3? What do you ask yourself? One question that you ask, and you know that you'd made the right choice, as much as you can, of course. We need to create a test here where the most important thing is the right integration between mind and heart, between the line, the hierarchy, and the circles, the integrality, between the relationships at work as a manager and the attitude as a father in a family. So that the person that's below me in the hierarchy will also feel that I am below them as the father. The higher I am above them, let's say I am a meter higher above them, organizationally speaking, I need to give them a feeling, truly so, that I'm a meter below them or less than them, as one who cares for them, that they are more important to me. Well, we need to give all kinds of tests here and talks between them, between these 10 people, so that we can discern this. But all in all, I'm telling you, if you take an example here from nature, nature here is the family, then you will not go wrong. Our time for this talk is up. It was fascinating. Thank you very, very much, Rav Laitman. Thank you, Nitza. And to you as well for being with us. Until next time, all the best and goodbye.